Hi guys, we're up to the upper level section, the top level boxes. And so these are angled. I think I've come down maybe 3 inches, I'm not quite sure. And the two of them are angled on one side of the unit, and the middle one's angled on both sides. So I make three of these. Two of them are 6 by 6, and what the middle one's either 5 or 5.5 by 6. And the measurements are in the instruction guide. So, and I do want to add a divider. So, just sorting it out in my head there. And now I've cut all the hinges, put the tape on, and now I'm attaching it all together. Now, what I would suggest you do first, the first thing is mark your middle section on your base piece, your bottom piece, across left to right, and then mark the middle section of the sides, top to bottom. That way, when you put your divider section in, just like that, you'll have an area, you'll know where to put it. Well, I did it here, but I didn't do it on the sides on this one. So please just remember that. So these hinges are going to go the opposite way to what they have been going, so it can sit up right like that. I also have hinges on the sides the same way. So they're going to adhere to the middle section and the sides. So we have quite a few hinges on this one. Now, in theory, in hindsight, I may, especially where the scissors are sitting and all the smaller bits and pieces, I would divide this into 4 sections rather than 2. Just because that way everything's going to be sitting up straighter and they're not leaning on an angle and getting lost within it all. So you'll see with this one, I didn't draw the lines up, and so when I go and adhere that middle section, I think one of them have got all skew if, so remember that. Also put your line on the sides in the centre. That way you've got somewhere to line it up. Even if you just put a mark on the edge of it up the top. So just reinforcing again, when you're attaching your pieces, make sure they're lined up at the top. So putting glue on the bottom and then on the sides. So there we go. I'm just measuring it now, see? It's easier if you do the marking first. Trust me. So just reinforcing everything. Burnishing it well. Now, if you're going to make a desk organiser, my advice would be, yeah, that looks a bit bowed there. My advice would be to, what was I going to say even? I've lost it. It was good advice too, I thought, at the time. Old age. What was I talking about? I can't remember now. Yeah, I have whittled those glues down too. So that's one down. And now we're doing the middle one, and it's a bit different. Well, just because it's a bit smaller, that's all. Do you think I can remember what I was going to say? I've got no idea. It'll come to me eventually, maybe. Oh, that's what it was. Because I'm on hyper speed at the moment because you've already seen one done. In the settings on your video where the cog gears icon is, slow down the speed. If you're going to make one and you want to watch exactly how it's done, just slow it down. Mute me and just slow it down. This is the filler box. That's right. Now I say it's the filler box and you'll understand why. It goes at the back of the marker unit. And the box that goes on top of the marker unit had to sit on top of it, obviously, but the length wasn't there because the marker box is only 4.5 inches long. So I had to make a filler box so that it was even. So this is, what am I doing now? This is the box that sits on top of the marker box. And I call it marker box. That's the box where all the slats are that you put your pens. So I only showed you one of the upper level units because they're all the same pretty much. And I'm just making boxes and they're just different sizes, so the same techniques apply, the same procedures apply. All right, now I have smaller glue sticks and bits and bobs like my little glossy accents and things like that. So what I wanted to do is give it a bit of height in there that they could sit on it, so a different level. So see how there my Tombow Mono Multi Glue can sit on top of it and I can still see it. And yeah, so that's what I did there. Just glued them all together and just sat it in there. I think I ended up gluing it down and covering it when I put it all together, but yeah, that's all that is. Just to give it some height. So it's got two levels in that upper box. And I think I called that box 1. Don't know why, I just did. But anyway, you can see that that was needed for the smaller items in there. Okay. Well, here it is so far, guys. That's probably not quite the finished product, but it's got to get glued together now. So, and levelled and lined up and everything. I'll be back with another update. So you might have seen in that last clip that it wasn't what the finished product was in the end. And that's because I glued the wrong piece against the wrong piece, and so I've had to make a couple of extra drawers. That's okay. We worked around it and I've got more drawers because of it, so more room for more storage, so it's all good. So now I'm using the Allemande tacky glue to glue it together, and these are the spaces. And I ended up with however many it was. Some had 2, some had 3, depending on how wide I had to get it so that it evened up with the next lot of drawers. So I'm using the clamps now, and I realise that I'm putting pressure on the chipboard because I haven't put the support there that it needs. I end up getting more blocks of wood out. I had to get my husband to cut a whole crap load of different sized bits of timber. So we got through it. So there we go. That one's okay. I should have done it better than that. I do the next one better. So it needs to be really solid inside so it does not put any stress on the chipboard and bend it. So all I'm doing is just gluing these spaces where they need to be and clamping them together. You'll see here I've got all the bits and pieces there so I can clamp it without putting any undue pressure on the chipboard. So there we go. And just glued and glued and glued and clamped and clamped and clamped. Now I've used probably 25, 26 pieces of 12 by 12 medium weight chipboard making these. A few sheets of craft cardstock for the hinges. Probably 1.5 to 2 bottles of Allemande tacky glue. And lots of clamps, lots of time, lots of waiting time. But it was all worth it in the end. Will I make another one? I don't think so. I think this one's going to outlast me. The strength is in there, so you can see there I had to put some chipboard in both those sections when I clamped those together. And now I'm adding the layer between them just to give them more support so they're not sagging on each other. And they didn't, the length of these, and this is thick chipboard. Now it's at least 4 mil thick. So it wasn't quite 2 sheets. I mean, it was a bit over 2 sheets that I needed, so I just had to cut a 3/8 inch strip to put in that gap. And it didn't compromise the structure. It didn't land on any of the drawers, which was good. So I think that's all you need to look out for. Now, if you don't have thick chipboard like this, just put a couple of pieces, glue a couple of pieces together. All right, so that's on, and now I've got to do the other side because I wanted a base and I needed one in between them. So they're just there to clamp together so the bottom piece glues properly. So that's all I'm doing there is clamping it together so it yeah, you can see there though it was a bit warped because I hadn't had the correct amount of blocks of timber in there. So now I'm putting the next layer on. And again, the 2 long pieces, and they were just A4 pieces of heavyweight chipboard. So they were just over 11.25 inches. No, yeah, just over 11.25 inches long, I think. So there it is. They clamped together with hubby's big long clamp. Came in handy, I tell you. Moved over back into my craft room from the workshop. And look at that. Amazing, all those bits of timber. So now it's time to do the drawer fronts. And here I'm measuring up where I want the handles to go. And these are a mixture, I think, of Tim Holtz and Kaisercraft handles or draw pulls. So I'm just sitting them, and this is the reason why I left the draw handles until this point, until all the casing and drawers were made, because I had put spacers in there to get the correct length for each level, and so it made it a lot easier once that was all done and put together, that I knew exactly how long those draw covers, draw fronts needed to be. So there. It was a bit difficult with the bulldog clips because they got in the way, but I needed them, so I knew exactly where the holes needed to be. So now I tried one way, this is another way, just actually marking the centre and the holes, pierce the holes, and then put it on top, clamp it, test it out, rearrange, and once I got it right, I could then pierce the holes through to the draw. I think I was happy with that. No, still going, right. Now I'm happy, and now I'm going to, well, I thought the pencil mark showed, but it didn't go right through, so I couldn't see, so back again, lining it all up. This was a pain in the butt, really. It's got to be an easier way. I think I ended up drawing a line underneath once I realised how far they needed to be from the bottom. So anyway, pierce the holes. Now I'm right with those, and I'm doing the next layer, and this time I've left them in there all together, and then marking the centre and where the handles need to go. So that was a bit easier. It's just learn as you go. Yep, did that a few times, put the handle upside down, but I didn't pierce the holes. So, whew. All I wanted to do at this stage was get to painting and decorating it. Okay, I'm hoping that oh, there's no drawers in there, right. Okay, so right, that probably worked out better. Forgot I did that. So if you want to re-watch that, it's how I pierced the holes when the drawers weren't attached to the fronts. And that's where I found that numbering them was good too, because each section, you just don't know how big or how much smaller they are, so I numbered them. But I think this is where I marked a line where the bottom meets the drawer front. So anyway, I glued it together, clamped her all up, yeah, a little bit bowed, but it straightened up in the end. So on to the next one we go. So that was a very time consuming process, that one. And I think to make sure that the holes were lined up, the front cover and the drawer front and the drawer, I think I placed in a couple of brads so that they didn't move and that they were aligned. Okay, I think that's it for the gluing it all together. I've lost some files. I'm sorry, I don't know where they are, but it's just a matter of gluing it all together. We're back to paint and decorate it next. Bye, guys.